Yes.
Yay!
I'm excited.
So we wanted to do this in order to provide some context for the gay and lesbian community, the queer community, everybody thrown under one umbrella. Because if you're a little bit different, and everybody is, regardless whether you're gay or straight or whatever your trip is, everybody's a little bit different. But we want to put a spotlight specifically on the gay community as two gay men speaking with authority. So meet Matthew Lopez. So tell everybody who you are and what you do.
So as Camber Hill said, I am Matthew Lopez. I'm Hispanic, longshoreman here in Long Beach, California. I'm openly gay, a little bit fabulous, a little bit of a princess, a little bit of a queen at some times. And I've known Camber Hill for almost 4 years now, and we're going to tell you a story.
We're going to tell you a little story about how we all end up here. So we believe that our difference is our biggest value. So Matthew's born in 1997, to give you the actual math. So that puts him in the Z.
Generation Z.
Generation Z.
Okay, boomer.
I'm a boomer, which I didn't know I was, but I am. I'm a part of the baby boomers, born in 1961. So we have 23 and we have 60. And the difference between those points of interest are substantial in today's world. And we wanted to put ourselves out there and be a little bit vulnerable, which makes anybody uncomfortable. In knowing, we know that when we put ourselves out there, that we're going to ensure that somebody else may relate to us, and hopefully they can miss some of the sorrow or some of the injustice that they experience on the inside. So let's pull the covers back. Okay, so you told them what you did for a living?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So
what do you tell them what you do for work? Because it's juicy.
Today is National Coming Out Day, and we're talking here about work. Being a longshoreman. So I'm pointing to the port. So I work in Long Beach,
California. There's a port over there.
Yeah, literally. I mean, right outside the window where we are here. It's a major port city where all the vessels and container ships come in.
Right. All the merchandise that you get to use at Christmas, he's a part of that crew.
It's a pretty butch place to work. There are openly gay guys there that I know. I work with a few of them. I'm friends with them.
Did you notice that your voice went down? Like, gay people, when you start to talk about gay, we go like this, like we whisper.
I didn't catch that.
It's a weird habit. Everybody does it at one time or another.
Now I'm aware of that.
Yeah. So it's just because you
start
out afraid.
Yeah.
You start out afraid. But gay is like, you don't need to be afraid anymore. I mean, depending on where you live, we can't speak for everybody. We live in Los Angeles, California, where all the fruits and nuts are. So we have a lot more liberal conditions that we live in. You may live in another country. We can only speak from where we're coming from, right? So when was the first time that you realized that you might like guys more than girls? I mean, that's like a distinction.
Want to take the clean version or the appropriate?
No, the
appropriate. The YouTube version.
YouTube version.
Okay, for YouTube, the clean version of this, when I first knew I was gay. Wow, I must have been 5 or 6 years old. I remember picking at my sister's hair, just being a little brother. I was messing with her hair, and I noticed I would do it to my mom's hair when I was in the car. I'd be pulling her hair in a nice way. I was 5 years old. It didn't mean anything at the time. And about 14 years later, when I came out gay, my mom and I FaceTimed my mom that night, and she says to me, "Son," she says, "I've known you were gay since you were 5 years old." I said, "Really?" She says, she said, "Matthew, you used to pull on my hair. I knew you were gay back then. Not only that, you loved our country music, our girl music we listened to. You didn't listen to all your rock. You loved all this stuff." And also, the other part that helped me realize I had an interest in guys was in middle school. I was noticing some of the other men or the guys, and then now at my point, some of the teachers. The good looking. That was in high school. That was when I was already 18, about to graduate. Started looking at some of the teachers, and then I was still flirting with the really cute, beautiful woman of high school too. So I was a little bit on the fence of what am I? What's going on here?
When you were flirting with the girls, though, did you feel like it was a sincere sexual interest, or more like sensual, just fun, right? Where the guys might have been more sexual. Did you actually have a distinction or no?
Yes, the guys, it was a little bit more of a sexual, like a fantasy, flirtatious way of flirting with the guys after the age of 18 to now, and even in high school. But in high school, the woman I was talking to it almost was an act, because my friends on the varsity baseball team, I played baseball. My friends on the varsity baseball team were talking at practice of, hey, did you go see that girl at that party yesterday? Or guess what I did with her? Or look what her and I did.
Right.
And I'm sitting there quiet, like I had no interest in that stuff.
Right.
So for me, it was an act. If I would lie, I had to lie. I had to cover up lies to cover myself. If I got outed, I don't know what I would have done. I felt like everything would have crashed. So that was my experience.
Right. And likened to Matthew's, so I actually officially came out, meaning I tell my family and my friends, primarily my family. I was 30. So, and that was 30 years ago. So, however, before that critical hairline intersection happened, I remember being, not unlike Matthew, in groups with my buddies in the 70s, early 70s, and them really aggressively talking about making out with a chick. We had a club, a country club that we hung out at. That's how we in our hood, where we got to meet people and do dances. And when they were speaking about, just getting that chick to kiss her, that was the big deal. I didn't have the same ambition. I was interested because I did not know that I was a gay person.
Now, Camber, sorry, where was this that you grew up?
In Hacienda Heights, California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, we grew up entirely different places, and everything was kind of sterile there. Everything was kind of vanilla. Everything was white. Everybody was white for the most part, right? And so, being able to measure up with my buddies is different than it might be for Matthew, where he was pretty clear, where I didn't know, and if I did, I didn't even want to wrap my brain around that. There was no models, nobody to model our lifestyle, the gay lifestyle. So, and if there were, it was TV stuff, and they were typically stereotypical queens. They were very, very
what you are
feminine.
now, basically. What you are now. A little queen in you.
Yes, right. No, so you have to learn how to define yourself and figure out where it comes along. Where you came out pretty good. So when was the first time that you met up with a guy?
That it met up or made out?
Both.
So my first time meeting up with a guy, I was 18 when Okay, well, I've done other things before, but when I first met up with a guy, my first date, first official date.
Yeah, where you would be romantic and on purpose without having any secret.
Right. I was without a secret. That was
with him. Or you didn't have to be drunk to do it. You two were knowingly wanting to kiss. You knew you both were gay.
Okay, so good question. I was 20 years old when I was out and I was myself. I had fun. I loved it. I'm 23 now. But before being 20, at age 18, from 18 to 20, I was still going on dates. I was dating guys. But the relationship wouldn't work because I was not out. Right. They wanted me to meet their parents, and I couldn't do it.
They wanted you to meet their parents?
Yeah.
And you couldn't do it?
I couldn't do it.
So you were 18 when you went on your first date, or 20 when you actually went out?
18 was the first date. Okay. That was with someone on Tinder. We met on Tinder. And,
Yay, Tinder.
And then my first relationship wasn't until I was 20 years old, in February or March of 2018.
And was it easier for you to come out with somebody on your arm, so to speak, with having a boyfriend?
Yeah.
So what do you think the difference is? I mean, if somebody who's might be paying attention to our video right now and they don't have a boyfriend, would you suggest that they wait and have a boyfriend, or have the courage and just step up? Or do you have an opinion one way or the other?
I don't know.
No? Because it was just...
It all depends on your living. It's on your living situation, whether you're Hispanic or white. People might not think that has anything to do with it, but it does. The way you're raised by.
Right, your culture.
Yeah, so that had a big effect on me having to hide myself.
Right. And unlike, as he's pointed out, well, let's go a little deeper with when you came out. So you came, and actually, quite frankly, pulling the curtains back, I was actually sitting next to Matthew 3 years ago when he came out to his mom. Absolutely amazing. But I think you came out to your dad the same night, right?
Well, thanks to your help. Yeah, so my dad was... Yeah, I came out to my mom first on video, and then I came out to my dad and my older sister, and then my sister the next day, my younger sister.
Let's look at your dad. The dad thing with coming out with your dad.
Big macho longshoreman.
Right.
He looks like a longshoreman, but he's not.
No, he's not. He's a fabulous architect.
So my dad, I grew up loving home and just like...
Yeah, but when you told your dad... You said, do you remember what you said to him to warm up the conversation? And I don't think it was on video, was it? Was it on video or talking?
That was on phone. I was with you.
Yeah,
we were here.
And it was just talking on audio on the phone.
Yeah, on the phone.
So
he cried to me. I cried to him. He said, "Son, I love you. Thanks for telling me." And I think it made him really feel like I'm connected to my son.
And what did he say? What did your dad say to you the next day?
My dad sends me a text and he says, "Hey son," I say yes. I'm like, uh-oh. And he says, "Are you still gay?" And I said, "Yes, Dad, I am." I'm like, gayer than an Easter basket.
I didn't know.
And then I think maybe the next day I said, "Dad, did you just see did you see that USC game? I mean, the walk-off."
Right back to the macho.
Fourth quarter win. So I learned how to balance both out, but make it fun for everyone and comfortable.
Right.
What was your, Camber, sorry I interrupted. How did you come out to your family and your parents?
Oh, actually, because oddly enough, because my mother was in the process of dying, and that was really heart-wrenching, right? If anybody's had that, for those of you that had that experience. And I felt like I had never really gotten to be completely myself to my mother, who, in hindsight, I could completely have done that at any point. But again, to kind of highlight, when you're coming out, every single person is different. Everybody has a different environment internally and externally that you have to deal with. So here, I had really, really dug in deep, thinking that my primary relationship was going to be with women, and I would have a family, and I would meet the right woman, and it would be the right switch, when in fact that was not the truth. But I met a guy, and he was fast falling in love with me, and I was fast falling in love with him, and he actually went with me that night to the hospital, and I introduced him to my mother, and I think about 3 minutes later, she then passed over, and that was the crucial minute when she passed over. I wanted to make sure from that point forward that I was really authentic, that I no longer wanted to do this. It was like when I met a guy, it finally was the whole enchilada, right? It was just
literally an enchilada.
It was the whole enchilada with no spice and a lot of sauce, and it was fabulous. So, and then it was so liberating. What didn't you find it like wow? And I didn't even say to my family I'm gay. I said I think I want to try a homosexual lifestyle for a few months.
Camber was a practicing homosexual.
I was just practicing. I wasn't sure if I wanted to master it. Now I've mastered it. So that's going to be a little difference. We even know people, we both have acquaintances who came out when they were in their 60s, right? With families.
Yeah. With wife and kids. Kids are in their 20s or in their 30s now, and now they're having their best time of their life. Right. They're revisiting that time of their life when they missed out on those opportunities.
Right. And that's really what if there's to be regret, I mean, I don't regret anything. Everything's in its absolute perfect place, and I'm absolutely confident of that. But I wasted so much time. And I also felt like I had to apologize to my girlfriends, my previous girlfriends. I've done it through prayer. I've done it to a few of them. I don't know where many of them are, but a few of them, I've actually said it to your face. I'm to their face. I apologize that I didn't give you everything I had because I didn't know exactly how to handle it. And those people are still in my life, and I'm grateful for that. And they're supportive of my gay relationships, as it were. And so then how was it to come out with your sisters? Was it easier or harder? Who was the most difficult of that clan of 4 Lopez's?
The sisters were easy. My mom and dad were loving. My sisters were loving. So that was the easiest part, was my immediate family.
Yeah.
The toughest person to come out to was my grandpa.
Really?
My hero. My grandpa is my hero.
Yeah.
I only have one hero. It's my grandpa.
Right on.
I mean, he's a definition of what you think of a man, a Hispanic man, a grandpa, being tough and also loving at the same time and teaching you everything, how to be raised, and he raised us. So when I came out to my grandma and grandpa about 2 or 3 days after I came out to my mom and dad, I was really scared that something was going to change between me and my grandpa.
Did you set an appointment with him? Can you give us some insight? Like, how did you set the stage to make this announcement, this pronouncing? You're pronouncing that you're gay to your hero, to your grandfather. What's the scene?
I could see it like it was yesterday. So between the time I came out to my family and 3 or 4 days between that time and my coming out to my grandpa, I had a few conversations with my dad and my mom saying, "Hey, don't tell grandma and grandpa yet. I trust you won't." And they said, "No, we haven't, and I won't." So
they're all sitting on their hands like,
it was intense. It was a tough situation. I was scared. I felt my heart just like something's going to happen, and had the balls or the courage to just do it. And I went to my grandma and grandpa that day and came out gay.
So you went into the house.
They gave me the biggest hug in the world.
Nobody else was there, just your grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, I was also scared about that because there's 6 or 7 grandchildren that live in that small home.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure my cousins were out of the house that
day. Right. And they gave you a hug.
Yeah.
And did you cry? Because you kind of cry. You cry.
I did.
You're a crier.
You don't know that.
He's a crier. He cries.
That was my experience.
Not as much. He used to cry a lot.
Yeah, that was my experience with my close family. And now, oh my gosh, I've totally changed. You have helped me through this. Camber Hill is a life coach. He's an executive gay life coach in Long Beach. You've helped me. You've seen everything going on. You've seen me from here to here to here. Sometimes back to here, but I try to go back up whenever I can.
He does. And we want to let you know that we want to support you wherever you are and what you're doing, right? Your story, your tale, the tale of your life, the river that you're in, that's your river, that's your space, that's your place. You could have a totally different culture. You could be from, from the Asian community, the Black community, the Latin community, the Caucasian community. All of these different environments breed a different consciousness in context to being gay. And I just wrote in my journal the other day that God's greatest gift to me was the gay. The gay is my greatest gift. It's the sensitivity, it's the tenderness, it's the ability to deal with your feminine and your masculine. And to come to grips with that is life-changing. And in this particular case, I've witnessed many people's potential growth in the rapidness of it. But Matthew Lopez Edmund Lopez Jr. is a prime example of having courage and coming to the table with your family and having them embrace you and your family and your friends, and then living his best life ever by being authentic and by being who he is. And we want to encourage you guys to do the same. Find your language, find your tribe, find the people who can support you and love you, and get in close with them so that you're safe and you have somebody to come back and tell the news to. And if there's anything that we can do, we plan on doing more of these videos together to show you a lot of the differences between the Z's and the baby boomers, and see if there's a place where we can all meet in the middle and learn from one another. So if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please make sure that you link in. Please make sure you subscribe,
comment
us.
This is our first video on this topic, and we hope to be making more on different topics of the gay community, or questions you have, or something you want to know. Send myself, Matthew Lopez, a message, or Camber Hill, and we'll cover that.
And we promise that we'll get back to you. So we hope you enjoyed this little tiny dress rehearsal that we're having, and we hope you come back. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, And then we'll see you on the next video, okay? All right.
Bye.
Good job,
Bye.
Lopez.